What's up, everybody? Welcome to my fourth episode of Talk or Tap. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for the commitment that I've been pursuing and that you've been sticking around with me. And this week's guest, you can probably see it on the camera, but I have with me a fighter turned commentator and commentator turned fighter. He holds a record of 8 wins and 2 losses. Please help me welcome, with a brand new spanking nickname, please help me welcome Richie Suave Santiago.
What's going on?
Nothing much, man. What's up?
Chilling, man. Chilling. Halloween just ended, so we're good. We're on to the holidays.
I know. That was fast.
Yeah, 2020's been interesting, but the only good thing is it's going by pretty quick.
I know. This whole year went by. I try to think of the things that I did last year, and it doesn't feel like it was last year, but
Right.
It just happened so fast. What did you do for Halloween?
I went to a party Friday, nice Halloween party, and then last night for Halloween night, me and my girlfriend went to Witch's Woods. It's kind of like a carnival / haunted house place. There's like 3 haunted attractions and then like carnival type deal. So that was pretty cool.
Where was this?
I'm from Mass, so it's from Westwood. It's in Westwood, yeah, in Massachusetts.
Westwood.
I'm not from Rhode Island, so.
Oh, I thought you were.
No.
Did you ever grow up in Massachusetts?
Yes.
You were born in Massachusetts?
Yeah, I'm from Central Mass, so I'm close to Rhode Island.
Oh,
So people get confused because I'm closer to Providence than I am to Boston, so I kind of identify more with Rhode Island, I guess.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah.
It's funny because Mass is huge.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of Mass to represent, but you'd rather.
Right.
When you fight, you represent from
Milford, Mass.
Milford.
Yeah, always.
Which you told me. Your nickname was the Milford Mauler. So,
Originally, yeah.
yeah. How'd you come up with that?
I didn't come up with it. I don't know how that happened. I think it was a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I fought this guy, Miguel Restrepo, who is from Florida or whatever, and his nickname was the Magic City Mauler.
Okay.
And so then when we fought, they announced me as the Milford Mauler. And I'm like, that's not my nickname, but I could see the confusion. So I think that's how it happened. And then it just kind of stuck for a while, and everybody was calling me the Milford Mauler. And the Adam Palazzo, the announcer at CES, he ran with it. He loved it. I would go to CES MMA events, not even fighting, just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
And then he would get on the mic and be like, "Oh, let everybody look, the Milford Mauler's here." And I'd be in the crowd, "What's up?"
Yeah, it's me.
Yeah. So that nickname kind of came accidentally. And I'm you watch me fight. I'm always repping Puerto Rico.
I know, I love it.
Yeah. So I always kind of I always wanted to have a Spanish nickname to kind of go with it. And I was just kind of thinking what could work. And it was actually Sweetbread. He saw a video of me dancing with my girlfriend, and the song was Suavemente.
Nice.
And so he called me Richie Suave, and I was like, that's perfect.
Let's keep that.
So then Sweetbread gave me Suave, and I just ran with it, and it's on my shorts. It's on my T-shirts now, so I'm running with it.
How long ago was this?
This was last year, 2019.
Oh, wow.
So this is pretty recent.
So you haven't been able to use it?
Yeah, I did in January. When I fought in January, I made sure I told the commentator, I was like, look, I changed my nickname. This is what it is now. So you got to use it.
Yeah.
And he was actually kind of mad at me because he loved saying Milford Mauler.
It does sound good. I'm not going to lie.
But
Suave
Santiago, I love it.
I like it too, dude.
So much better.
Yeah. It goes well with your representation for Puerto Rico.
Right.
And I like the story. It was by Elvis Crespo.
Yeah, exactly.
Puerto Rican.
There you go.
Merengue? No,
that's
salsa.
Yeah, salsa merengue.
Yeah.
Same type of thing. Well, different, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that nickname, how it came to be, the Milford Mauler, reminds me of Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire.
Yeah.
When he's coming out to fight
and then Bruce Campbell
bosses
it up.
Yeah, he's like the human spider. It's supposed to be Spider-Man. He's like, go out, get out there.
Yeah.
That's what I like to think happened with your name.
Yeah. He called him. He's like the human spider, and he was like, "That's lame, kid. It's the best you could come up with." And he calls him Spider-Man. I remember that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You actually made a better one for him.
Yeah, exactly.
So you didn't have a nickname.
I didn't have a nickname now for the longest time. I didn't really know
okay.
what to go with. So,
And
well, I always feel like someone has to give you a nickname. You can't just like
I
make it up
know.
on your own.
I know.
So, like when Sweetbread gave me Suave, I just like finally someone gave me a nickname.
No, as long as it's not me, I'll
Yeah.
take anything at this
Right.
point.
Yeah.
I like sweetbreads too.
Well,
See, you don't even call them.
iconic.
Yeah.
I know. I call him Bread. Like
Cool.
everyone-
Look at that. A
like,
nickname
everyone
for
calls
a nickname.
him Bread.
Dude.
Yeah. We shortened the nickname. Yeah. Seriously.
Crazy. So sweet.
Sweetbread.
Sweetbread.
I mean, it's yeah.
See, it's so iconic. No one even calls him by his actual name.
No, exactly.
I'm gonna call you Suave.
Just, you get that going.
Okay.
Get it
I
going.
will.
All right, cool.
I'm gonna put that in the title.
Yes.
People recognize it's gonna be a thing. So they actually announced the other guy as the Mauler too, like whatever his name was.
His nickname was the Magic City Mauler.
The Magic City Mauler, and then when you came out, the
They were
Milford
like,
Mauler.
the Milford
so like
Mauler.
just a bunch of Maulers.
Yeah, just two Maulers going at
Okay.
each other. It was wild. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Can you explain or take me through your MMA journey and how that all started out?
Wow, we got to go way back.
Please.
Because I've been doing this pretty much my whole life. I've kind of like always. So I started. Well, okay. So let's start at the beginning. So when I was like 8 or 9, I started doing karate. I did Kempo. I was a
Okay.
green belt. And
What
So-
school?
it was in Milford. It was like the Milford studio of it was Kempo karate, like Hawaiian Kempo style. And
Mhm.
so it was like Milford studio of Kempo karate or something like that.
Yeah.
And I was there for a few years. My cousin went there and he kind of got me into it. And like I grew up with like, watching Dragon Ball Z and stuff. So I always wanted to fight, obviously. And then I was a huge pro wrestling fan. So
Me too? Dude.
huge.
Oh, we're gonna
So-
talk about that.
Absolutely. But so I was a huge pro wrestling fan. So I wanted to wrestle so bad, like actual wrestling. So I think when I was in 5th grade. I don't know how old you are in 5th grade, but I was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
They started up like, we didn't have like a wrestling program per se, but the high school in Milford kind of started like a beginner's program for middle school kids.
Yeah.
And so it was the same coach. And so I went in, I signed up, and like it was just kind of like twice a week we would just show up and wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
And like we didn't like go to tournaments or like we didn't really compete or anything, but like I was learning the basics, I was learning everything, and I loved it. Like I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I kept I was doing karate and wrestling. I was kind of doing both. And then I think when I was in 8th grade, I kind of got like disillusioned with karate because I started to see like in wrestling, like I started to see like some really tough people. And like in karate, you kind of have this, people kind of have this like warped view of how tough they are. And
I agree.
the thing is no offense, but my cousin, he was like one of the black belts and he was like one of the top guys there. And I was like, I know my cousin, he's not a tough guy. So if they think he's tough, then,
Wow.
I mean, not to be mean or anything,
No,
but
I get it.
if they think he's like super tough, like I might be in the wrong place. So I kind of like got,
And you were like below.
I was a green belt. I was like, like in Kempo, it went like white, yellow, orange, blue, purple, green, brown. So I was about to be a brown belt.
Okay.
Well, that just tells you. I mean, I was about to be
Yeah.
a brown belt and I was 13 years old. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
I know. Very true.
You know what I mean?
Kinda
So
sketchy.
yeah, and then they had like 15-year-old black belts and stuff
Oh,
like
come
that.
on.
That's what I mean. So it's kind of like, all right. So I kind of realized this is kind of lame. So I kind of got out of it. I mean, no offense. Like it was cool.
No,
like
I
I learned a
know.
lot. I learned a lot of like, discipline and just kind of, just general fitness. I was in good shape.
Yeah.
But then after that, like I was just full on with wrestling. And so going into high school, all I cared about was wrestling. And so my coach in high school was the same coach that started me in 5th grade. So I already had like a great relationship with him.
How'd that happen?
Well, like I said, like he was the high school coach, but he started like a middle school thing to get people started so that when people came into their freshman years, they kind of would have an idea of what they're doing. So he started that, and then, excuse me, but he was like a legit Division I wrestler. He wrestled at Appalachian State. So he was legit. Wow. So I would I just remember like going into freshman year just being so hyped to wrestle. And then so I pretty much wrestled my first season that year, and then I went with my friend, and there was a wrestling club in Franklin, Mass, which is like 2 towns up from me. Mm-hmm. And so I was able to join the wrestling club, and I pretty much wrestled year round for 4 years. And yeah, so that was pretty much my life. And then, so then back up a little, the first time I did jujitsu was, yeah, like I said, I was a pro wrestling fan, but I was also a big UFC fan all throughout this, and boxing too.
Oh, what fan?
UFC.
Oh, UFC, yeah.
I was a big UFC fan, big boxing fan. So it was always kind of in the back of my head that I was going to end up fighting.
What about when you were becoming a boxing fan and UFC fan? Who were the people that
I watched back then?
At the time, yeah.
So when I first started watching, the first pay-per-view me and my dad watched was when Matt Hughes beat the crap out of Hoist Gracie, which was like UFC 68, I want to say. So that was the first like pay-per-view that like me and my dad bought and like watched.
Wow.
But besides that, I had already seen like all the the Ultimate Knockout DVDs. Remember those? Me and my dad would go and we would rent them at Blockbuster, and we would watch the Ultimate Knockouts. So I was so into it. But that was the first time where I watched the event, and then like from then on I just kept following it.
Yep.
So like back then it was like Matt Hughes, Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, like those type of guys were my freaking heroes. Can I swear? Yeah, no.
Definitely, dude.
Okay, cool. Those guys were my fucking heroes.
Yes.
But yeah, so those guys were my heroes. And then growing up, obviously I'm Puerto Rican, so Tito Trinidad was the man back like when I was little. Yep. And then Miguel Cotto kind of took over from there. So I was always a big Miguel Cotto. So Cotto, I was a big fan of Cotto. I was a big fan of Trinidad.
As far as representing Puerto Rico?
Yeah, for like boxing. I mean, like watching boxing.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So obviously, like Puerto Rico has a huge long line of boxers, so I had to get into it as a Puerto Rican kid.
Of course.
Yeah. So when I first did jujitsu, there was a teacher in my school that was like a legit purple belt in BJJ.
Yeah.
And he had like this self-defense program that he would do at the high school. Mm-hmm. And so me and my friends used to go up to the wrestling room after school and like train and like work out. And he would kind of like kick us out and do his self-defense program. And we would kind of watch, and it was just kind of like basic stuff. Like we were kind of like, ugh, whatever. Mm-hmm. But then he would like stick around. He'd be like, hey, you guys want to roll? And like, that was the first time I ever heard the term roll. And I was like, what does that mean? And he was like, and I was like wrestle? Like, and he was like, yeah, but it's like, grappling. Like we do submissions and stuff. Like I can show you guys some stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, this history teacher is going to teach me some stuff. And I'm like, all right. So
there
then
you go. Classic moment.
Yeah. So then he kind of taught me like the different concepts. Cause in wrestling, it's so much different because like in wrestling, you can never be on your back or else you lose, you get pinned.
Yep.
And he's saying like, oh, like I can go on my back and be winning. And I'm like, that sounds ridiculous, but okay.
Mm-hmm. I know. It goes against everything you've learned.
Right. So then he kind of like taught me the basics of what it was. And I was like, okay, this is cool. So I kind of had that. That was kind of my first exposure to BJJ. And so then a friend of mine, Brett Morris, right? He was 3 years older than me. So when I was a freshman, he was a senior. Okay. He was on the wrestling team with me. But he was the only guy I knew who was a legit MMA fighter. Like, I remember watching him on Facebook and seeing him in the cage, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. He was the only guy I knew that actually did it. Yeah. And so he hit me up out of the blue one day and was like, hey, I'm going to be doing, like, some MMA lessons at this gym. It was, like, a karate place, but he was like, oh, yeah, he's just going to give me the space to do some MMA stuff. So I was like, cool. So I went down there, and then, again, we rolled. Didn't know what rolling was, but we went to roll.
This is the second time.
This is the second time ever.
Yep.
And he's like, yo, I'm going to teach you guys some stuff, and then we're just going to roll. And I was like, cool. So we went. He taught me how to shrimp. The first time I ever learned how to shrimp. and he taught me like a arm bar from the mount or something. And then
You don't shrimp in wrestling?
no,
Okay.
or at least we don't call it that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he taught me how to shrimp, and then he taught me how to do an arm bar, and then I rolled with some of his guys, and I would just like wrestle the shit out of them, and then they would choke me out. And I'm just like, dude, what is going on?
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, these are not like tough people. Like, what's going on here? And so like my friend Brett, who he was like, dude, I'm telling you, it's a different world. So I kind of was like, dude, I need to learn this. Like, this
Seriously.
is what I need to learn.
This is kind of like what you thought in the beginning with Kempo and wrestling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's kind of
Same
like,
feeling.
oh man, this is the real shit.
But you definitely always knew that wrestling was
Right.
full of tough guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now it's kind of like
very
the
different
reverse.
mentality.
Like the reverse. Like you thought they weren't
Right.
that tough.
I thought
It's
they
weird.
weren't tough. And then it was like, wow, these guys, they don't look tough, but they're choking me out. They're, bending my arm, stuff like that. So anyways, fast forward some time. So Brett's coach was Jorge Rivera, UFC fighter.
Mm-hmm.
That is. So he was from Milford. Like he was kind of like our local celebrity. And so George, after he retired in 2011, in 2012, he opened his own gym in Milford. And so right away, like I hit up Brett and I was like, yo, like what's the deal with this new, Rivera gym? Like what's going on? And he was like, dude, come, like you're in. Like I already talked to George. So I was like, cool. So I show up and like same type of thing. Like the fight team was there, like some savages. And like all I know is how to wrestle pretty much. I had done, like I said, I had done jujitsu a couple times.
Yep.
And I'm just going in, just wrestling with everybody and like getting choked out and stuff. Did my first striking lesson, which was, whoa, different world. Finally learned how to actually punch somebody.
Kempo didn't teach you that?
Nah, not really. Not with boxing gloves. Not with,
Yeah.
the real shit. And so like, I remember the first time I sparred, just getting beat up. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. And so like, I would just take guys down. I was like, dude, all I can do is shoot a double leg. So that's all I relied on. So that's pretty much how I started. This was like 2012. And so George, I must have been like, from that point on, I was pretty much, I graduated high school in 2011. 2012, I started MMA. And I was in that gym every single day.
Wow.
And just working on everything, jiu-jitsu, boxing, Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And I must have been like 4 or 5 months in. So I started that summer, 2012. And then I want to say around November, I go to George. George comes to me actually and goes, yo, you going to fight, right? And I'm like, I mean, of course I want to fight. And he's like, all right, we'll get you a fight. And I'm like, oh, like, really? Really? You're actually going to get me a fight? And he was like, oh, I got you. Don't worry about it. And I'm like, well, I don't know, George. I just kind of started. I'm just kind of like, I don't really know how to strike yet. And he's like, dude, you know how to wrestle. You'll be fine. And so he's like, dude, you're good. And so I'm like, all right, if George thinks I'm good to go, I'm good to go.
Oh, wow.
So he signs me up. So it was AFO, which was, I don't know if you know any of the old school regionals, but AFO was
Is it still around?
Nope. It was pretty notorious for not paying anybody and being super sketchy. You can ask anybody about this. You can ask Pete about this. AFO was super sketchy, but
Has he fought or coached at AFO?
who? Pete?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Coached?
I don't think he's fought. He's definitely coached.
Okay.
He's definitely been there. I know that for a fact.
Where was this event held?
They used to go all over, but this one in particular was in Boxborough, Mass, at the Holiday Inn, and super sketchy. They must have gotten me 10 different opponents that they kept telling me, or they kept telling George. So like it was like, you're fighting this guy, and then tomorrow it's like, wait, no, we're gonna actually put you with this guy. And they kept like, George was just like, Richie, just train. Don't you worry about it. You'll be fine. This is how George talks, by the way.
I know.
I do a good George
The way
impression.
he looks is the way you like
That's how
make
we
him
talk.
talk is like, I feel like this is exactly what
That's exactly
Just
how he
like
talks. I know George really
I've
well. That's how
never
he
met
talks. So George would be
That's
like,
awesome.
he'd be like, look, listen, just train and just show up. You'll be fine. And I was like, all
By
right.
the way, you have a nice like deep podcast voice.
Do I? Nice.
Keep doing it.
But yeah, so he gets me my first fight, February 28th, 2013. I'll never forget it.
Wow, coming
And,
up on 8 years. Coming up on 8.
Yeah, coming up on 8 years, 2013. And so we show up to the freaking Holiday Inn. So I go to weigh-ins, and he's like, "Oh, your guy's not here." But he's like, "Don't go anywhere. Like, we're gonna try to figure this out. We're gonna try to get this kid here."
How did you feel about that? Especially knowing that you already got like a bunch of different opponents. Like when you're actually there. Like,
yeah,
I'm supposed to be facing this guy. I'm supposed to be seeing him face to
right.
face.
I was pissed because I was like, "Yo, like I cut weight. Like I was ready to make weight."
Yeah. Do you think it was easy for you to cut weight when you were doing
back then? It was, yeah.
Oh, and you were doing amateur. Was this an amateur fight?
It was an amateur fight, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And then so it was my first. The fight was at like 135, which back then I was walking around like 140. I was small back then.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so I could have made 25 no problem, but they told me to make 35, so I was like, all right, whatever. And then so I weighed in on like 133, and then so we're just like sitting around, and the guy's just like, dude, like I'm gonna figure this out, and I'm like, all right. So like I'm thinking like I'm not fighting, and then there was another kid named Josh Santana. I don't know if you know him. He actually trains with Master William, and Master William.
That sounds familiar. I probably seen him.
Master William cornered against me in my first fight. Just fun fact right there. So
does he know?
He probably knows. He probably remembers. So Josh Santana showed up. His guy didn't show up, and we were both supposed to fight at 35. So they just go like, "Hey, you guys just want to fight each other?" And like I look at Josh and I'm like, "I don't care. I'm good."
Cool.
And then Master William was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I call up George, and I'm like, "Hey, they got me a new opponent. His name's Josh Santana. Like they said he has like one fight." And I was like, "Should I take it?" And he was like, "Richie, what do you think? Does he look good? Does he look tough?" And I'm like, I mean, I don't know. I think I could beat him. And he was like, "All right, take it. Definitely take it." I'm like, all right. So I took the fight right then and there at weigh-ins. So I get matched up at weigh-ins. And then, so we go into the fight.
Weird.
And so it was at a hotel. So our locker rooms, he rented out 3 little hotel rooms. And there was like 20 fights that night. So there was like 100 people stuffed in these tiny little rooms.
Oh, okay.
Dude, it was awful. And so like we're sitting there, and we're like on top of each other, and I'm just like, dude, I'm the second fight. Like I gotta get warmed up. So like George comes in. I'll never forget.
Wait, this is on fight night?
This is fight night, yeah. So George comes in. So George walks in, and there's like a table with like bananas and stuff. Like you know how like they kind of like put out the water and stuff. And he goes and he pushes everything, and he sits up on top of it, crisscross applesauce, and he's just on his phone like this, just hanging out. And I go to George. I'm like, "Yo, George, should we get warmed up? Like, I'm fighting soon. I'm the second fight." And he was like, "Relax." And I'm like, "Okay." It's my first fight. I had no idea what to expect. So I'm just like, I'm like stressing because I don't even know. And so he was like, "All right, let's get warmed up." So then he pulls out the pads, and I just start cracking the pads because I'm so nervous. And he looks at me, he takes the pads off, and he goes, "Breathe, relax." And I'm like, "Okay, oh God, okay." I'm so nervous.
Wow.
And then we went on the ground, and he was just like, we just like rolled for a little bit, and he's like, "All right, you good?" And I was like, "Okay." So then like, I'm just like going off of what George says because I don't know what I'm doing at this point. And then, so then.
Does seeing him so calm help you?
Yeah. I think it did because I think at the time I was stressing hard. So like to kind of see him like kind of tell me like, "Yo, chill out." It was kind of like, oh, okay. If he's chill, I got to be chill. You know? Because like he was my coach, obviously, but I also like looked up to him so much. And so we went out and like literally didn't know how to strike, just shot like 40 takedowns. I must have taken this kid down like 40 times.
Whoa.
And he just kept getting back up. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know how to throw a punch, so I'm just going to keep shooting my double leg and we'll see what happens. So I just kept taking him down, He kept getting up. He kept beating me up. And I was gassed. I just remember in the 3rd round being in the corner and like George is yelling in my face and I had no idea what he was saying. And I was just thinking like, I've never been this tired in my life. And I was exhausted.
Not even in wrestling?
No way. So So I finished the fight. We went the distance. I lost by decision. And then from then on, it was like, okay, this is what I want to do with my life. So that's the story
You
of my
lost?
first fight. Yeah, I lost my first 3 fights.
What in the world? Wait, you took him like 40 times. You took him down 40 times.
I know, but he
thought
kept
that would-
getting up, and he really outstruck me.
Oh, you never kept him down.
I couldn't keep him down. I didn't really know how to like finish a chokes or anything. So
Yeah.
like I kind of just took him down, didn't really know what to do, and then he would get back up, and then I'd be like, oh fuck, and then I would like shoot in again. So that's kind of how that fight went. It's on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, I want to
so,
see it now.
Yeah, you have to pull it up. But
That's exactly what it
Yeah.
sounds like
That's how
for
my
a
first
wrestler
fight
to
went.
go into fighting.
dude, literally didn't even know how to throw a punch.
Did you throw a punch in it when you were standing up?
I think I threw one, but it didn't land. But it was funny because this is also the origin of how I became a southpaw, because I'm right-handed. So I came out orthodox and I learned orthodox.
Mm-hmm.
So I came out orthodox, but in wrestling, you shoot with your right hand forward.
Yep.
So I would come out orthodox and like throw a terrible punch, and then I would switch my stance and then shoot a double leg. So like between rounds in the second round, one of my, not George, but my other coach, Matt Finney, he goes, you keep shooting on your right leg. So what I want you to do is come out southpaw next round and just shoot. And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. So I've been a southpaw ever since.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that is why.
That's why I'm a right-handed southpaw.
Oh,
Yeah.
so awkward. Does it feel
Super
awkward now?
No, now it's like, now I'm so used to it. It's been years,
Yeah.
But before it was like I was boxing with my left forward and then shooting on my right side. So it kind of like just streamlined everything.
Did the guy see it coming when you kept switching?
Yeah. And I think that's why like they told me like, look, you gotta hide it. So I was like, all right. So I came out southpaw. Now I'm a southpaw forever.
Yay.
But yeah, so that's the story of my first
I like you
fight.
as a southpaw.
Yeah, I love it. Throws everybody off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's the origin of my first fight. And then 8 years later, here we are.
Dude, you lost your first 3. What was
First
your
3.
amateur record?
5-4.
What was it feeling? What was the feeling like to lose the first 3?
Dude, so, oh my God. So the first fight I lost.
Oh, which by the way,
Uh-huh.
with the first fight,
Yep.
how was George? Was he
George, he was
everybody
happy.
was proud? Yeah.
He was pumped. He was like, because I kind of like got beat up in that fight.
Yeah.
And like, he just like kind of saw like there was no quit in me, and like he saw the toughness. You know what I'm saying? Like he was like, okay, here's a guy who barely knows what he's doing, but he's competing with a tough fighter. Like
Right.
he's like, I got by with my toughness in that fight.
Yeah.
And so he was like, dude, once you learn the skills, you're gonna be fucking good at this. So he like kept me going. He knew I was gonna be good. But like, so I lose that one. We go on my next fight. A few months later, we drive all the way to fucking Western Mass in Chicopee, and I fight this kid, Nick Mancinone, and I was 0-1, he was 0-2, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna smoke this kid. And so then we go in, friggin', I throw a punch, he throws a punch, I tripped, and then I got on top of him, I shot a double, took him down, got on top of him, started wailing on his face, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna ground and pound this kid, get the TKO, and then he friggin' puts me in an arm bar and hyperextends the shit out of my arm, and I'm like, holy shit.
I hate that.
They had to pull me in a sling. It hurt so bad. Like it hurt for like the next 3 days, and I was like, fuck, like I should have beat the shit out of this kid, but he caught me with an arm bar. Like that one was frustrating.
Yeah.
And then my third fight,
Open guard.
yeah, pretty much right against the cage too. It actually made the next poster. The poster was him armbarring me and me screaming.
Of course.
They made a poster out of that, and I was like, oh, cool, nice. But then my third fight, which was my first fight for Cage Titans, I fought this kid Este Laura, who was a good wrestler. He was kind of like me, good wrestler, but not a lot of anything else. But I think at this point I had enough striking, so I beat the shit out of this kid for the first 2 rounds. And but my cardio sucked. So I beat this kid up for 2 rounds. In the second round, I ended up getting on top of him. And like I mounted him, ground and pounded him, beat the shit out of him. So in the third round, I'm gassed. Like I thought I was going to finish him, and I didn't.
Yeah.
So the third round, I'm gassed. And George couldn't make that fight, so Finney was in my corner. And so Matt Finney looks at me. He goes, look, we're gonna win this fight on the ground. So I want you to go out, take him down, and get on top of him. And I'm gassed. So I'm like, fuck, I got to go for another takedown. So I go in, shoot the takedown. He stuffs me, gets on top of me, takes my back, and fucking chokes me out.
Damn.
And I'm like, dude,
what am I doing wrong?
I was like, dude, I beat this kid up for fucking two whole rounds. I beat the shit out of this kid, and then he fucking caught my back. So that one was really like soul crushing because it was like, wow. Like, all right, maybe this isn't for me. Like, maybe I should just move on. Like, you know, take some time off. So I literally was like contemplating, like, maybe I shouldn't even bother. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of like this weird point where I was like, I don't even know if I want to keep doing this. You know what I'm saying? So then 2 days later, George comes to me. He's like, yo, I got you a fight. And I'm like,
2 days?
Like that week.
Yeah.
Like, he's literally like, yo, I got you another fight. And I'm like, George, I literally like, I'm contemplating retiring here. Like, what do you mean you got me another fight? And he's like, don't worry about it. And I'm like, dude, no, I'm serious. Like, I don't know, like, if we should even do this. And he's just like, dude, no. And like, it was kind of a turning point for me because he literally like told me, he was like, dude, like, you've been making stupid mistakes in your fights and that's what cost you your fights. But I've never seen you out of a fight. And he was like, dude, you're a fighter. Like, he literally looked at me and was like, dude, you're a fighter. I believe in you. Like, you're going to win this fight. Wow. And, like, I was just kind of, all right. So I just went right back to training. And then I ended up, the kid I fought, I TKO'd him in the first, like, minute. Like,
yes.
And there's, hold on, let me show, you've probably seen it, but
wow,
there's a
that
picture
must have
of
been
me.
like, finally.
There's a picture of me.
You came along, by the sound of it, you came a long way.
Absolutely.
From your first to your fourth.
But so Kelly McDonald, shout out to Kelly McDonald. She took a picture of me after my first win. That one right there.
Wow.
That was after my first win. This right here.
I'll put it up here.
This is I have a big poster of this in my house, in my parents' house, and because this picture just shows you all of like I literally went to that fight like thinking like if I lose, I'm done. Like this is it.
Oh, of course.
I can't be 0-4. Like that's not okay. So I literally was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go and do whatever happens, happens. Like but like, I'm literally thinking in the back of my head, if I lose this fight, it's over. So like that picture captures perfectly, like the passion and everything of like a guy, like I really had my back against the wall. Like I had to win that fight. Like that fight kind of changed my life.
Yeah.
But then
for you, it's kind of like the legendary pictures that people take, like of Ali, like
yes,
there's
like
a lot.
That's my picture.
A picture says 1,000 words. Right. That's everything that you
that's
just.
All
told
the
me.
emotions are in that picture, in my face there.
That is awesome.
But it was like,
it says it all.
What's even crazier is my next fight. I ended up losing again.
Damn it!
So it was like I had all this like this big moment, and then like. I fought this kid, one of Matt Bassett's kids from Connecticut, and like we had a good fight. Like it was close, but then he caught me in a guillotine, and that one was so frustrating because it was like, dude, like I feel great, like everything feels perfect, and I just like kind of gave it up. Like it just kind of happened. But after that, that was kind of like the end. I never lost again after that. Well, until I was pro. But after that, I went back to Cage Titans, beat this one kid. First round. And then I fought another guy for Warrior Nation. I beat the snot out of that.
Is that another
guy.
like Massachusetts
another
old
one,
school?
yeah. That was not around anymore. Yeah. Warrior Nation, it was called. I beat the crap out of this guy for 3 rounds. And then after that, I went back to Cage Titans. And then at that point, I was 3-4. And so at Cage Titans, the rule is you have to have 3 wins to fight for a title. And so... there was a kid named Razzle Dazzle who was like kind of like the guy, like he was kind of like coming up, like he was the man, like everybody was talking about him.
Got eyes on him,
right? Like he was going to be the next big prospect. And I watched his fight. We fought the same night, and I watched his fight, and I'm like, this kid's not that good. And I was like, I can beat this kid. I know I can. And nobody thought I could beat this kid, and so. I just remember, like, I won my fight, he won his fight, and right away, I was calling him out right away. And I was like, yo, like, me and him are going to fight. We're going to fight for the... So I went to Mike. I was like, yo, me and him, let's fight for the title.
Mm.
And then he was like, yeah, good, we're in. So they were in because they thought I sucked. So they were like, oh, of course, we'll take that fight. So they take the fight with me. And then literally online, everybody's like, oh, just give him the title. Like, that's not even a fight. Like, everybody counted me out, like, immediately.
Wow.
Like, everyone thought I sucked at this point. I'm 3-4. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he must have been like 5-2 or something like that. So then we literally, the whole camp, it was just like nobody thought I was going to win this fight except for my team. Like, we knew what was going to happen.
Right.
And I just remember like thinking like, I can't let this kid beat me because everybody expects him to beat me. And we go into the title fight. That was the first time I walked out with my flag. And we went out and I literally smoked him in the first minute. Like, I took his back and choked him out. And like that winning, like putting that belt on me, like getting that belt put on me. And like after everything I had already been through to win the title and to beat that kid who everyone said I wasn't going to beat, that was the most satisfying win in my life. That
Really?
was like,
Is it on YouTube?
Oh yeah. I think so. But it was like,
wow,
that was a big one.
Dude, you know, this is why I do the fight experience, and I don't mean to cut you off, but just watching the fights and merely just watching and like it has no emotions to it. It's just another fight in the archive of the Cage Titans YouTube page.
Right.
But people need to understand why that fight was so important.
Yeah.
And this is why you're here, and this is why I want to make videos for fighters. Like if in case that you have a really emotional fight that brings you to the UFC, like I want to be there so people already know like how important that fight was for you. Like imagine someone followed you around all those months.
I know. They would see like what I went through.
And then you could look back on it and be like, wow, oh, that's an ugly wake. Oh, look at that.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Like,
but that was a big one. They put that belt around me. I was like, oh my God. And then I like next card, I defended my belt against.
And you defended.
Yeah, so I defended it against a guy named Nate Russell who was undefeated. And he was like he was a champ in another organization. So like it was like number 1 versus number 2. And so I beat him. Same thing, smoked him in the first round, choked him out. And then after that, I was like,
you
okay.
got good at chokes after that.
I got very good at chokes. I think I had like 8 straight rear nakeds after that. And because it was James Palmer, Razzle, Nate Russell, and then I think my next 5 pro fights were all rear nakeds. So it was pretty crazy.
How did you put that together?
No idea. Honestly, it's not even like, I don't even consider it like my thing because like it just happens. Like, I don't know how to explain it to people. I mean, yeah, like I have my ways of doing it that I think not everyone does. Like, but when I do it, it's not like the type of thing that I can practice in the gym because when I do it, like I'll like rip your face out. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not, like I wouldn't do that rolling with people because it's just rude. Like you don't just like pull someone's face.
Cross face or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has to do with punching too. Because a lot of times I ended up when I don't know why, but I'm really good at mounting people.
Yes, you are.
So I'll like if you watch any of my fights, it goes like this. I get them to the ground. I mount them. Once I get to mount, I'll just start unloading. And they always give me their back. And when I take their back, that's when it's like punch, pull their face, get my arm underneath, stretch them out, and then I choke them out. So it's like I don't consider it like anything crazy, but it's like I have like a formula that gets me there.
Yeah.
And it just always works. I don't know why, but it's just kind of my thing.
It's your thing.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So yeah, so then where was I? So I go pro in 2016.
I'm sorry.
Yep, no, go ahead.
You said one time in the gym, you were like, "Oh, how I spar or how I do things at the gym is not how I fight." What did you mean by that?
Not at all. Because I feel like I'm very in the gym. It's like I can be a lot more creative and just kind of do more things. Whereas when I'm in the fight, it's everything kind of gets boiled down to like a couple things. Like I'm only going to do a few things. Like I'm going to throw a left hook or a left cross and a right hook. I'll throw a leg kick. And then when I get to the ground, same thing, you know, I'm looking for the mount. I'm looking for the back. But when I'm in the gym, like I'll throw spinning back kicks and I'll, throw kind of different things. Like it's just a different mentality, I guess. Because when I'm in the fight, it feels like, okay, I need to be on my A game. I can't mess around. I need to, you know what I'm saying? So I have to like kind of stick to what I know. Whereas in the gym, I can be super experimental and just kind of throw whatever I want and, mess around even. So it's just a different mentality.
Yeah, no, I get you.
And plus, like in the fight, obviously, I'm like way more like you got to turn on that killer instinct switch. Like, I'm not just like throwing a punch to hit you. Like, I want this to knock you out. You know what I'm saying?
No,
like I'm not going to do that in the gym. So
respect. And how different is amateur from pro from amateur or amateur from pro?
Way different. And for someone like me, it's way better because freaking elbows, man, are such a game changer.
Wow.
Because like we said, like I'm known for being someone who's good on top and is able to finish people on top. When you throw elbows in the mix, dude, it's kind of scary. The first time you elbow someone, like full off elbow someone in the head, it's like, whoa, I'm allowed to do that. Holy shit.
Wow.
Like I remember I elbowed Billy Giovanella in the right in the side of the head.
Yeah.
And he's kind of a friend of mine. Like we're cool.
Yeah,
I had trained with him before. Like he was super cool going into that fight, and I dropped an elbow right on his head, and I was like, ooh, like I kind of felt bad. I was like, holy shit. Like, but yeah, when you throw elbows in the mix, it's way different. That and kneeing the face. Like I've always had this like natural inclination to like grab your head and want to knee you in the face. Like, and you just can't do that in amateurs. So like I remember my first pro fight, like off of instinct, like I literally just grabbed his head and went for the knee to the face. Like I've always had that instinct to do that.
Yeah. I've seen you do more knees than anybody else I spar with.
Yeah,
even if it's just to the body.
Yeah. I always try to throw to the body, and obviously in sparring. But yeah, always. Yeah, the knees and the elbows, it's a big game changer. And the 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a long time.
So what do you do in order to keep alive, so to speak?
What do you mean, like my cardio?
Yeah.
Stairs. Stairs are a big thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm doing stairs. How often do you?
If I'm getting ready for a fight, I go to Harvard Stadium.
Oh, okay.
And they're like,
you probably live close by.
Yeah, I'm close. I'm not too far from Boston, so I'll go to Harvard Stadium, and the stairs there are like,
I've been there once.
They're more like seats, right? They're not like they're like double. So it's like we sprint up hard like double steps, and then we'll go down, and we'll just go up and down. We'll do the whole stadium.
Okay.
And I try to do that once a week when I'm getting ready for a fight.
Oh, gotcha.
And that like it
sucks.
It brings your wind like way up. Like you notice the difference. Like I'll do stairs like on a Sunday, and then I'll go into sparring on Wednesday and be like, wow, my cardio already feels better. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a game changer. Wow. So it's definitely necessary.
Okay. I don't mean to keep jumping, but I do want to get that you say so much good stuff. It sucks that
I got stories, man.
I hate that I keep it under. I already know I'm gonna have you back.
Like, dude, we'll do a part 2.
Yeah. But skipping on ahead.
Yep.
A couple of years later, you end up competing at Contender Series, Dana White's Contender Series.
Yep.
Tell me about that. Because especially I just saw Miles fight.
Yeah, he just fought last night.
Yeah. So and I always think like that could have been Richie.
Yeah.
That could have been Suave.
And out every time he fights, I'm always in his highlight package. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, they always put me in.
I didn't see the highlight package.
He landed a lot of big friggin' punches on me, so they always show me when he fights.
Yeah, okay.
They show me getting beat up.
So you came so far.
Yeah.
Just by hearing that. So tell me about what went on there.
So I was 7-1. This was 2019, probably around February, March, probably March, April. So I wanted to. So I've always fought for CES. I signed with CES when I turned pro, and I've pretty much been with them ever since.
Okay.
So I was trying to get a fight that April, and they kind of like went through some names. Nothing really stuck. And so my manager, Mike Pulver, who runs Cage Titans, is also my manager. So he has a direct connection to Sean Shelby. So he,
Oh, okay.
so we started talking, and he was like, dude, they're trying to fill up on Contenders this year again, like, because Contenders is usually in the summer. And I was like, dude, put me in, like, see what happens. So he pitches me to Sean Shelby. I ended up signing a fight with CES, and before they even announced it, Mike texts me one day, and he texts me, Miles Johns 8-0, 135, 5-5 or whatever they pay. It's like $5,000 and $5,000. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what does that mean? He was like, Contenders, June 25th. And I'm like, wait, we're in? He's like, dude, he was like, I told you I'd make it happen. Whoa. And I'm like, whoa, like, this is really happening.
This is like your first fight in the amateur.
Yeah. Whoa. It's like, whoa. So then he's like, okay, we got to go to Vegas next week. Like, you got to take off time from work, because you had to go like a couple months beforehand. We had to go in and like do all the media stuff. Like, they take pictures of us, they do interviews
with the gloves and everything.
Mm-hmm. And he was like, we got to go to Vegas next week. Ooh. And I'm like, okay. So I go into work, tell them like, hey, I need to take off like these 3 days. I'm going to be in Vegas.
And what do you do for work?
I work at a ice machine and refrigeration company. I work in a warehouse.
And they were fine with you taking a week off?
Yeah, I had the vacation time. So I was like, all right, I'm taking these 3 days off. So I took those 3 days off. We go to Vegas, and we go to the PI, the UFC headquarters. And, we do like interviews, we do pictures, and then like the video package and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, super cool. Then it's pretty much like you go back home, and it's like, okay, now we're in fight camp, because we got like 6 weeks. So 6 weeks.
Typically for a pro, how long is fight camp? How many weeks?
It depends, because you never know when you're going to get a fight. But ideally, you want at least 6 weeks.
Okay.
But sometimes it doesn't work out that way, especially now, the way things are. You end up taking a fight on 2 days' notice, week's notice. But ideally, you want 6 weeks. So they gave us 6 weeks, which was nice. Mm-hmm. And just the whole time, and this was, so to back up a little bit, I originally trained with George, so at Rivera's, and then George moved to Florida. So we kind of like, everyone who was there, we kind of like went and we started our own gym called BST. And so we were there.
Okay.
And so we were there for a few years. And then I ended up leaving there. Mm-hmm. And I had already started training at Triforce, like cross training. I was already pretty much on the fight team, like Wednesday nights. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up like, I pretty much just decided like, I'm just going to leave BST and just go full on with Triforce, because I just felt like it was more fighters, more bodies, just a better environment for me.
Okay.
Overall. And I love Coach Pete. So I was like, all right, so I went to Pete and I was like, look, like, I'm all in. Like, I want to be just Triforce from now on.
Awesome.
So he was like, all right, cool. Like, so Pete like took me in, like, you know what I mean? Like, I had been there for years, which I kind of already had been. Like, I already had a good relationship with him. So literally I go to Pete and I'm like, hey, like, Contenders, like, we're going to Vegas. Like, our first camp together is Contender Series.
Dope.
You know what I mean? Like, It's not like we didn't have much time to get to know each other. It was like, all right, we got to go hard. Like, we got to go.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks of just, getting beat up by John Duma and, training at Triforce. And then, so we go down there. We go down there on a Saturday. I fight on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. I was super light because I still feel like 25 is my real weight class. 35 is kind of easy for me to make. So I make weight easy, and there was no face-offs. So I didn't even know what Miles looked like, pretty much. And so we fight the back room. So going into the fight, as you walk in, like, you know how like when you watch on TV, they show like the pre-fight package and then the fighters come out? Mm-hmm. So we're literally
explaining the little story or whatever.
Yeah, like the backstories and stuff like that. So we're literally in the back, and there's a TV right here. They have me in front of the TV, and I'm just seeing like myself, like tell my life story. And like they're like showing all these pictures of like me in the gym and stuff and like my family and stuff. And I'm like, oh shit, like this is weird. And so like I'm trying to get in the zone of like I need to fight. And I'm like watching this.
Yeah.
And this is the first time I'm seeing it. So that kind of threw me off. But so we go in, and this is before no crowd was a thing. So like there's no crowd of contenders. So we walk in, it's dead silent, nobody there. And then so we fought, and Miles was super tough, and he beat the shit out of me. And in the third round, 20 seconds into the third round, he caught me with a knee that broke my jaw.
Oh, yes, I remember.
Right.
I remember now.
So he broke my jaw with a knee.
Damn.
And I remember, I knew it was broken too, because he hit me with the knee and then like dropped me, and then he got on top of me and like started landing punches. But then I like got a hold of him. I got him in my guard. And then I just remember like biting on my mouthpiece and like it like moving around. And I was like, oh no, he just broke my jaw.
Oh, damn.
And then I had to fight 4 minutes with a broken jaw.
Wow.
And I finished the fight. And it's funny because when you watch the video, I literally go to my corner and I go to Pete, and Pete gives me a hug, and he was like, oh, great job, man. It was an awesome fight. And I just like right away, I grab my face like this and I go, dude, my fucking jaw's broken. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, he broke it a while ago. So then I lost the decision, go to the ER. And then they're like, yeah, you got to go home like now, like, and get this thing taken care of. So they sent me back to Boston. They wired me up. I was wired shut for 6 weeks. I was like, I couldn't talk.
Yep.
And worst experience of my life.
Worst.
And then so that was June, got the wires out in August, and then started training like September, October.
That all healed itself, like the bones?
Yep. And then I
awesome.
fought again in January. Haven't fought since.
Sick.
So yeah. So the whole contender thing was awesome, but it was a roller coaster.
I bet. You think it'll be easier a second time around?
Yeah, because here's the thing about going a second time is I think the first time, like when I was talking about like when Mike told me like we were in, I think I never expected it to happen. So I kind of like when we were there, it was almost like I was just kind of happy to be there. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I didn't feel like I really deserved it. I was just like, I'm just happy to be here. Like I'm surprised you guys even gave me a shot. But then to fight him and go 3 rounds with him and to kind of push him the way I did.
Yep.
And then to see like how successful he is now, it's kind of like,
didn't he finish like
he fucking knocked his guy out last night.
Yeah. Also, didn't he finish everyone after you?
Yeah. So he won his first fight, and then I think he lost his second fight, and then he won last night. So he's 2-1 right now since we fought. So it's like, okay, like if he belongs there, then I definitely do.
Dude, yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I think.
That's kind of like my mentality now. So now it's like
awesome.
Going in a second time, it would be so different. So different.
Wow.
So hopefully that happens.
I can't wait.
Eventually. Well, I just heard the Ultimate Fighter's coming back and they're doing bantamweights.
I saw. No way.
I might have to go try out.
Love bantamweights. Yeah. Put your name in?
Yep. Definitely.
Wow. So how did you feel you did in that fight?
I thought I did well. It's hard to watch now. I hate watching my fights back. It's like weird. But I made a lot of mistakes, but a lot of it was like he would take me down and then I just like couldn't get up. You know what I mean? So I think more than anything.
Why? Did he do wrestling?
He was a good wrestler, yeah.
Yep.
So I felt like he kind of exposed my wrestling. Whereas I fight the way I fight. Like, you know me, like I just go after people. I'm just tough.
Yes.
So I kind of like, I think I was the tougher guy, but he was like the more skilled guy. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It was almost like he could out wrestle me here and there, but like I never stopped going after him. You know, even when he took me down, you know, I was like from my back, I was throwing elbows, throwing punches and stuff. So I was always making him work. But so I think I did well. There was a lot to improve upon, of course, but you know, live and you learn, I guess.
I know. I guess so.
That's what it is. Has it really been 55 minutes?
It has, dude.
No way.
It doesn't feel
Dude,
like it, right?
We didn't even talk about commentating.
I know, dude.
Dude, I know.
Do you know what?
All right.
Do you think I should extend the time?
Do you want to do like an hour and a half?
Yeah, let's.
Because I got some good commentary.
Let's see how it goes.
Let me tell you the
I'm,
story of how I started commentating because it's pretty funny.
We'll go to 115. How it goes? See how it goes.
Okay, so
I'll have to stop this recording and restart it.
I just heard it.
Yeah, I know.
Did it go off?
Yeah, I set it off. Dude, my phone is at 2%, so it's probably gonna die, and this is just gonna continue recording. That's fine.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you good?
Yeah.
All right. So
I used to be like all like finicky about it, like trying to look professional.
Yeah.
And then I seen like how Joe Rogan has come up with his podcast.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's fine. Trying to be like this is not here and trying to make it look the best. It's
Right.
like,
Right. Yeah, you just gotta let it flow.
Yeah. People are gonna
Be
like
natural.
it. If it's you, then they're gonna like it. So what were you gonna mention? You said
So commentating. So
yes,
that's actually a funny story. So I go pro in 2016. So I had already fought for Cage Titans a few times, 4 times, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so I already had a good relationship with Mike, president of Cage Titans, Michael Pulver, he's also my manager. And so at the time, Cage Titans videos had no commentary on them. It was just the fight, right? And I kept bugging Mike. I would like text him and be like, yo, like, let me commentate because this is boring as hell. There's no commentary on these videos. And I kept telling him that. And he was like, dude, we don't need commentary. It's just all about the fights. And I'm like, yeah, but, name a fight promotion that doesn't have commentators. Like, it doesn't happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right,
like, there's always commentary. So I kept bugging him that I wanted to do it. And so, I think the first time he got on Flow Combat, it was the night where it was a CES fight on Friday and then a Cage Titans fight on Saturday in the same building, right? And so I fought that Friday for CES, and then I was gonna go to the fights on Saturday at Cage Titans, and so that was the first time they did Flow Combat, and so I heard from someone else that they were gonna have commentary, and it wasn't gonna be me. So I was pissed. I'm like, yo, Mike.
Really?
Yeah. So I tell Mike, I'm like,
you like
yo,
that? It was your freaking idea.
That's what I mean. So I'm like, yo, like, I've been bugging you forever to let me commentate, and now you're not going to let me? And he was like, oh, dude, I don't know. It's not, he was kind of like whatever about it. And so the guy who was supposed to commentate, he got sick that day. And so he called me up because he knew I wanted to do it. So he calls me up and he's like, yo, I can't do it. Like, can you take over for me? And I'm like, say no more. I'm in.
Yeah, right.
I'm in. So I call up. So Andy K, who's the other guy, he's the announcer now too. So Andy Kurz. So I call.
How did the other guy pass away? Remember the
announcer? The announcer. I didn't hear the story.
Yeah.
Harry
so
Jones.
Random.
Harry Jones. Yeah, he was a good dude too. It was too bad. That was like kind of out of nowhere. It was really shocking to hear. But so anyway, so me and Andy were really good friends at the time. And so he fought once at that point. He's fought 3 times now, but he fought once. He trained with me and he has like a good kind of voice for that type of stuff. Like I knew he would be good at it. So I call him up and I'm like, yo, I'm commentating. You should do it with me. Like, I think this will be a good mix. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because he's got a kind of like the Mike Goldberg voice where he can kind of like make it sound official. And then like I'm the pro fighter, so I can kind of dissect things. So I knew it would work. So we do it that first night, me and Andy. Totally freestyled it, totally ghetto. No headphones or anything. We just had a mic. We would hold it like this. And we were just talking to the mic. And we had no idea what we sounded like. So we would just go for it. And like it just turned out like perfect, like because the thing is that me and Andy, like, we knew everybody, so it wasn't like we had to do research, even though we did it on a day's notice. We kind of knew all the fighters anyway, so we were just like, whatever, we know these people, we knew what to say. So we just went, we went for it. And then funny story, we actually showed up in the same exact outfit. That was totally by accident.
What?
Yeah, he had like...
Was that on video somewhere?
There's a picture somewhere. I'll try to find it. But we wore the same outfit that night, which looked super weird because it looked like it was totally planned, but it wasn't. But yeah, so then ever since then, it was like we had so much fun doing it. And like it kind of like it went over really well. Like everybody was talking about it. So we were like, cool, like we're just going to keep doing this. So I've been doing it ever since 2016. I've been commentating for Cage Titans.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I've thought about doing it with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we could, it's usually always me and Andy and then a third person.
I know.
Right.
Oh, a third person? Really?
Yeah.
Is
now
it
we do
random?
3. So no, not random.
Dude,
it's
you guys are
usually a
legit.
fighter. Yeah. We usually like, we had Jay Perrin, we had Johnny Cupcakes, we had Peter Barrett. Like we've had a couple different people we tried out. Kim Moy too. So yeah, we've had a couple different guys come in and commentate. There was one night where I didn't even commentate, and it was Andy, Chip Pollard, and Johnny Cupcakes. Yeah, so we're always like trying out different guys, I guess.
Yeah. If I were to ever do it, I'd want to study the fighters.
Yeah.
At least. But how demanding is sitting there?
It's tough, especially if it's a long night. If there's a lot of fights, man, it takes a lot out of you. Like it's exhausting. You definitely need a lot of caffeine because the thing is like you could be there all night and have awesome fights and everything's cool, or you could be there and you could sit through a snoozer and it like takes all the energy out of you and you're just like, ugh.
Yeah.
And then you go on to the next fight, and if it's not good, then you're gonna be, you kind of lose that energy. But then you get like these crazy fights that like it just shoots your adrenaline through the roof, and you're all over it.
Have you ever had a Joe Rogan moment where you're just like, oh
Yeah, plenty. Plenty.
That must be awesome.
Plenty. Yeah, we've had some crazy fights.
How good is the view from where you're?
Amazing. Well, we're like right under them. We have a monitor too, but we don't even use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because when I see them explaining things in the UFC, like they'll explain things that I can't see.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if you guys are looking in your monitor or you guys you can just like really see really well. Like you're right there. So
because there's some times where they'll be right there, like right on top of you. And you're just like watching it and you're like, oh, he's like reaching underneath him for something. You know what I mean? Like, so you can see certain things that people at home can't see.
Yep.
But then sometimes if it's a bad angle, then I have to look at the monitor, then we're kind of looking at the same thing. So
do they ever point and talk to you and say stuff to you?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Some people will shout me out and be like, yo, what's good? And I'll be like, dude, keep fighting. Or sometimes it'll be quiet.
In the middle of a fight or?
In the middle of a fight. And sometimes it'll be quiet. And like I'll say something and they'll hear me and they'll be like, they'll look at me like, what? Shut up. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's happened before.
Wait, so you'll talk?
So I'll be like, oh, like so-and-so's got to do this to get out of this position.
And they'll hear you?
And then like the guy on top will be like, dude, shut up. And I'll be like, oh, sorry, he heard me.
I didn't think you could hear.
Oh yeah.
If
they
it's
can hear me.
like
if it's quiet,
wow.
they can probably hear me because we're kind of loud. Yeah, but there's been like one time.
How is it? Do you feel like you have to like shout your voice or?
Well, like I said, like at the beginning, we have headphones with the mouthpieces. So like,
cool.
Our guy Phil, he'll come over and he'll just like adjust all the volumes in our head so we can hear ourselves and we can hear the other anchor.
Does Phil talk to you?
Yeah, and he'll talk to us in our heads and stuff like that. And yeah, so he makes it like sound perfect. And I try not to get too turned up because if you yell into the mic, it might come out weird. But
no, I've heard it in the YouTube videos sometimes where you guys will like say stuff and it sounds crackly.
Yeah. So sometimes that'll happen if you're like, wow, if you freak out.
Dude, I'm so glad on a side note that you guys actually commentate. It makes the video so much smoother.
Right?
Like
that's what I mean.
I can't even with my fight, like I couldn't sit there and watch the whole thing without you guys
fight.
commentating.
Yeah. It's
different. Like I would have watched it in mute or something if that was the case.
Yeah. And we always try to keep it light. We always try to keep it cool. Try to, crack a few jokes here and there.
Yeah.
Keep it fun.
But
yeah.
I remember I talked to you about this, but you said something about, I think it was, I don't know who said that you don't want to, he doesn't want to blow his load too early.
Oh my God, dude. Flow Combat tweeted that out and laughed at me. I said that by accident.
Oh, was you?
I wanted to say like, oh, he doesn't want to like, you know,
I know exactly what you meant.
He didn't want to like blow his adrenaline too early, but it came out as he doesn't want to blow his load too early. And then like right away, I'm like, oh, that didn't sound right. And then Andy looks at me and like there's like this delayed laugh where he just starts cracking up.
I could
and then
hear it. Like you don't need to see it. You can hear it's like a quiet silence. I can imagine you guys looking at each other, and then I could hear the faint laughter you guys are doing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, they noticed.
Yeah. And then,
but you guys tried to like
Flow Combat actually clipped that out and tweeted it out and made fun of me. And I'm like, yeah, I retweeted it out. I'm like, yo, sometimes I trip over my words.
Well, you guys are saying so many words, and it's like.
Oh, and Andy does both now too, because he'll go out, he'll announce, and then he'll run back and commentate with me. So he's doing a lot.
Wow.
Yeah, Andy does a lot impressive. On fight night. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. You guys are. I mean.
Yeah, it's so fun.
They don't know what you guys.
Right.
Like that. That's special, and
then when it's a crazy fight, that's when it's the most fun.
Which is what I also wanted to bring up. I am going to have him as a guest, actually. He's going to be my first guest in 2021.
Oh.
I wanted you to bring this up so I can make a little clip on this. Oh, and it died.
Nice.
I think it's still recording.
I hope so.
Name the time that you have experienced a ruckus crowd and the people who go the craziest for. And I think
we're talking about the same person.
Yes.
But there's something about a Chris O'Brien fight.
Yes.
That is just different. I don't know why, but I mean, he's a guy who's, he's an amateur fighter.
Yep. Which is incredible.
Right.
He's only an amateur.
And he's got like this crazy following. And he just like, he's such a nice guy and just seems like such a normal dude. But when he fights, it's so different.
Yes.
He's like a different person in there. He's a freaking superstar.
I'm surprised he's that nice.
He's awesome. Such a good dude. I love that kid. But yeah, the bearded dragon, Chris O'Brien.
Epic name.
That's what it is.
Name, by the way.
Yep, right. He's
totally
got that big
fitting.
beard. I mean, come on. But when he fights, it's just different. And when he was also, I've talked to him before, he's also kind of one of those people who, like, he wasn't sure about fighting, like whether or not he wanted to do it. And then he did one, and then he was like, all right, we'll do another one. And then next thing you know, he's 3-0, ready for a title shot. And I think he fights at 55. So he fights at 55. So they give him a title shot against a kid named Chris Snyder.
Yes.
Who's a beast.
Who was a champion already.
Who was the featherweight champ. So he was moving up to 55 to fight Chris O'Brien. And so Snyder's a stud wrestler, good boxer, good at everything. That fight. Crazy athlete. I mean, he's got the freaking body, like he's ripped up. And so I think a lot of people were counting Chris out of that fight because he was good. He was 3-0, but he didn't face the talent that Snyder had faced at that point. You know what I'm saying? So we go into that fight, and I just remember there was just, both of these guys had good followings. And so there was just an electricity in the air. It was just different. Chris Snyder walks out, he's got his featherweight belt with him. People go nuts.
Wow.
And then Chris O'Brien comes out, and I think he usually walks out to Enter Sandman, Metallica. And Metallica hits the speakers, and these people are going nuts.
Is it the
Yes, that one. So these people are going nuts. And I remember like sitting there watching, like, just the atmosphere was incredible. I was like, I feel like I'm in like the TD Garden right now. Like, these people are going nuts.
Wow.
And I remember, like, I would take my headphones off just so I could hear what it was like.
Had to capture
I was like,
moment.
This is crazy. And so we're all so hyped. And then the fight goes on. And O'Brien, like they kind of came out. It was pretty even. O'Brien like caught him with a spinning back fist or something and like clipped him and like, you know, shoots for a guillotine. And I'm like, whoa, like O'Brien's in this fight. Like he's not going to get smoked here. So the second round comes out, different story. And Sniger just comes out and beats the piss out of him. And he's just beating on him. And I'm like, oh man, like, you know, it was good while it lasted, but you know, Sniger's just, he's the guy. Yep. And I'm starting to write him off. And then Sniger had him up against the cage and was just unloading on him, just throwing everything at him, just like so many punches. And meanwhile, O'Brien was just up against the cage trying to rope a dope and just throwing right hands. And so Sniger, you could tell Sniger was like, you know, for lack of a better word, blowing his load. And but he like blew all his adrenaline, and you could see he was getting tired, and he shoots in for a takedown. Yeah. And I just remember him shooting for a takedown. Everybody's going nuts, and he shoots for a takedown, and there's right away O'Brien just puts him in a triangle, and as soon as he put him in the triangle, like the place, like the roof came off of this place. Like it was insane. I just remember thinking like, oh my God, he's gonna pull this off. And then Sniger friggin' taps, and it was like, ooh. I literally, like, it's kind of funny because if you watch the video, you can't even hear me because I got up and like walked away. I was like, that was the craziest fucking thing ever.
Way.
Yeah, I literally got up, took my headset off, and just like, I had to stand up. I was like, that was the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen. I was blown away.
Wow.
And so Andy was like by himself, and he's like trying to describe like what's going on because it was just that crazy. And and it was like if you just watch the fight without the atmosphere, without the crowd, it would just be another fight. It would just be whatever. Like it would be a good fight, but it would be like whatever. But just the way that the crowd reacted and just the feeling of it, it just made it like so much different. It was wild. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. That was probably my number one. My number two. My number one and number two is that fight, and then John Duma against Brian Rossi. That one was crazy too.
Where the people were going crazy.
People were going nuts, and that was a fight where Duma was taking a fucking beating and then pulled it off.
Isn't that where he was losing like the first 2 rounds or something?
His nose was bleeding everywhere, and he was just getting beat on in the first round.
For the title?
It was for the title. Yeah. He got the shit beat out of him in the first round. And friggin' the second round, he comes out in the second round, and Rossi was like a veteran at this point. Like he already had like 9 fights. Yeah. And so he was kind of like, it was kind of like his last like big run to kind of like decide if he was going to go pro or not. And so Rossi just came out there for blood. And so he beats the shit out of him in the first round. And then in the second round, Duma comes out, and like Rossi's a southpaw. So Duma comes out and he catches him with a left uppercut underneath that like stumbled him, and then he stumbles and he shoots in and then just takes his back and choked him out. And that was beautiful. That one was crazy too, because that one was like, it was like a 10-8 round in the first round, and then he friggin' finished him in the second. That one was crazy too. That was like my top 2 best fights I've commentated on. There's a lot of them, but of course those are my top 2 for sure.
Well, that's awesome that you get to experience the best and the worst.
Yeah. Oh, there's some bad ones, but
I bet. I know. Yeah.
There's some great ones, and the great ones make it all worth it. Yeah. Because you never know what's going to happen that night. And it's like, am I going to have another one of those?
Right.
You know,
does that make you love
some crazy moments
much more?
Oh yeah. Way more. Yeah. Because it's like, I love everything about fighting. Like I'm not like one of those people who just like,
I could tell.
Like there's fight fans where they love to watch it. They'll try it out. They'll train a little bit. Yeah. And then there's people who are like, there's fighters who like don't even watch fights. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's guys like that, like the hipster
Derek
fighters.
Lewis, I heard he doesn't like fight.
There's like hipster fighters out there who don't even, like if you ask them about like UFC, they won't even know. You know what I'm saying? Strange. But I'm like a hardcore fight person. You know what I'm saying? I not only do I do it, but I watch it all. You know what I'm saying? I watch UFC. Yeah. I'll watch boxing. I'll watch kickboxing.
Do you watch LFA?
Of course. Yeah, and I know people who fight at LFA, so I'm always checking it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm the type of person where if it's fights, I'll watch it. You know, I live, eat, and breathe fighting. Like that's just what I do. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I could tell. I'm so glad that we have people like you in at least the bare minimum Cage Titans.
Yep.
But like just to have you in our gym.
Yeah.
And do you think that we would have had commentating Cage Titans if it wasn't for you?
Well, like I said, they were gonna do it that night, but I think if I didn't take it over with Andy, because me and Andy kind of just, especially Andy's like the voice of Cage Titans, like that's kind of his nickname. But I think ever since me and Andy took over, I think if we didn't take over, I think it would have been like a revolving door of just guys like, these guys are doing it tonight, and then they would do it, and then it'll be like, all right, we're gonna try out these guys, but then. When me and Andy took over, it was like, okay, this is the team. You know what I'm saying? This is the base team. This is who does it. And then ever since then, like I've become like more involved with Cage Titans. Like I do a lot with Cage Titans. Like on fight day, I show up like in the morning and we're setting up the cage.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, getting the venue ready. Like I'm there all day. Like I'll sleep because it's like an hour-long ride for me. So I'll come Friday night after work. I'll go to Mike's house and we'll stay up all night getting shit ready.
Yeah.
So I become like a big part of the team. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I commentate for Cage Titans, but I also kind of like work for Cage Titans. Like that's kind of like another job of mine. So that's cool.
What do you think you're going to do after you retire? You're going to continue in MMA and another?
I think fighting will always be part of my life in one way or another.
Like
I'll never stop training.
Like if you're like 40, 45.
I'm like 60, 70.
Oh, really?
Like I will never. I'll never stop training. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think I'll do it forever. Like I think I can do jiu-jitsu forever. Like why not?
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of old dudes out there.
Know.
You know what I mean? Like you see like those 70-year-old blue belts. Like that's cool.
That's so awesome.
But I think
like the grandma's doing it.
Yeah.
A Instagram page of this
jiu-jitsu
grandma. Huh?
I've heard it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's cool.
Now let's talk about your love for pro wrestling.
Oh hell yeah! Okay,
I didn't want to forget about that part.
Oh, dude, let's do it.
Dude, your body language telling me you're like really ready for this.
Love pro wrestling.
I love it too.
And I know you're a big pro wrestling
fan. I know so
fan.
much about it.
You had that Raw sticker on your car, right?
That's right.
I was like, I remember seeing that and being like, okay, this kid knows.
I know. Raw is war. That's honestly
Attitude Era, man.
Huh?
Attitude Era.
Were you there for my second fight against Brett?
Yeah, I was there for both of them.
I came out to No Chance in Hell by Vince. So I know in the future I'm gonna keep coming out to like I made a list like, oh, what's the next song I want to come out to?
I remember one time this kid came out to Shawn Michaels' song.
Oh, awesome.
I was like, that was lit.
Awesome. Looking back, it felt so much cooler, and then you look back and it's like, oh, this is kind of trash.
Right. It's cool to you, but then you're like, what are other people gonna think?
Yeah. This one dude commented it was like it sucked or something like that.
Yeah.
I was like, no, it doesn't. And I watched it. I'm like,
haters.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Haters.
It's also fun like when you're inside the fighting circle, like you get to watch your topology. Like there's an activity email that I get every week saying like how many people.
I get that too. Yeah.
You would probably look it up more than I do, but I always liked to look like how many people saw my page.
See how many views you get.
Yeah.
I like when I'm getting ready for a fight, that's when the views go way up.
Oh, like, for you,
because everybody's researching me.
Yeah. I love my idea of coming out. Like I'll always incorporate pro wrestling. Because I love the way that they put an emphasis on entrances. So I want to do that. I want to make entrances like that. Like when I see Enter Sandman with O'Brien, like I see a WWE type of energy with that. So my first one with Feeling Good with Nina Simone, like making everybody wait. And I'm new and I'm like, I would think the way I thought about it was like, no one knows me. Who is this guy? Why do you have to do that? Like you're new. Come on, just get out. We want to watch your fight. Like I don't even want to watch your fight. I want to watch my friend's fight, who's like 2 fights from now. But like I want the way that I'm thinking about it, it's like come for your friend, but stay for me. That's my attitude, at least.
Gotcha.
So you're sticking around like to see like, oh, like I'm gonna make you guys wait. You guys are waiting for me. Like I'm not waiting for you. Sounds weird, but I don't know. Like, who is this guy? Like, I want people to start questioning it.
Yeah.
That's even if it didn't play out that way exactly.
Right.
Maybe not, but that's the way I wanted to go in my head. So I put the flag out, my Dominican flag.
Yep.
I put it up there.
Cut out the
people
flag.
wait. And then until like the song kind of dropped, I turned around. So that was cool. Do you have any of that in your entrances, or did you just come out? I know some people did just like music.
Well, the thing is like, so for CES, they don't really give you any room to be creative, which sucks.
I think literally room too. Like the entrance is like.
Yeah, because it's literally like, I don't know if you've seen the entrance at Twin River. So they like.
I've been there. I don't think I've ever watched you fight though. They
don't, like you said, like you can wait for your cue and walk out at Cage Titans. We'll let you do that.
Yeah.
But at CES, it's different because of the like the TV broadcast. They just want you like just walk in.
Oh, jeez, yeah.
So they literally like they put us in front of the banner, the CES banner, and then they like there's a camera guy right in front of you, and then they tell you, they're like, all right, walk. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really be creative, so it kind of sucks. But
not even if you forced it.
No, I mean I could try to. I could probably like tell them like, look, this is what I want to do.
But like even if you did it, they're like, oh, I can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
that's what I think. Like it's live. What are they gonna do?
True. Yeah. But they tell you, they're like, all right, you're gonna be in front of the banner, and then the guy's gonna cue you, and then you just walk. And I was like, dude, but my song, I have a song cue that I want to go out to. Yeah, so I mean, I always try to come out to like a Spanish song. Like that's kind of my thing. Like I always come out to reggaeton.
Nice.
Like I used to, Gasolina was my thing for a while. Like that was my song. So I used to always come out to Gasolina. And then I've kind of switched it up recently, but I always come out to like a reggaeton song because I always have the Puerto Rico flag with me.
Yeah,
and
right.
It's funny to see the reactions because as soon as you see like, if there's Puerto Ricans in the crowd like that, I don't even know like that aren't my family because there's a ton of my family's there. But then like if there's other Puerto Ricans in the flag in the crowd and they see the flag, like they're immediately like they're behind you immediately. They're like, oh yeah, that's our guy.
It's awesome to see that.
Yeah,
there's not enough of that.
Always
not enough Puerto Ricans.
Yeah.
What do you want for your future in MMA? Like I know 2020.
Yeah.
What were your plans? And then
my plans for 2020 was being the UFC by now, but that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I think next year we're just gonna have to keep moving forward. Yeah, I just want to get another fight. I just got back from Brazil, and don't worry, I got a COVID test. I'm good. But I went to Brazil because a friend of mine, Johnny Cupcakes, took a fight on short notice.
What happened with his ear?
Dude, it got ripped off, like literally.
I saw the
it
picture.
Was like hanging.
There's no video of it.
Yeah, bro. It was like hanging.
Dude, when I saw
that. They sewed it up right then and there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. I watched the whole thing.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was brutal. So we were in Brazil, but like that promotion to our MMA, they were really professional. Like they treated it like it was the UFC. Like we got fight kits and stuff. Like it was really cool.
Cool.
And I think going there and seeing all that and kind of like being a part, it's been so long since I've been like at a fight night that I was kind of like, oh my God, I need to fight. Like I need to get going again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of like reinvigorated me. So now I'm like kind of pumped to get back in.
Glad.
So I don't know. We'll see. I talked to them. They said they're doing a fight in Florida.
Who is?
Taura.
Oh yeah.
MMA.
Yeah.
So I guess they're
Brazilian organization.
Yeah, it's Brazilian, but they're branching out into Florida, and so they're gonna do some fights in Florida. So they told me to hit them up. So we'll see.
Do you know what your UFC path looks like? Like
nope.
Do you have to fight? Like, do they tell you these things? Like, well, hey, if you win like 2 more fights, you're welcome back.
That's the thing. They don't tell you.
Damn it.
You never know. There's no formula, dude. It's just like, you just got to kind of go out there and get finishes.
But I feel like
you got to finish guys. That's it. And then, if you have a good manager like I do, like he has Sean Shelby's email. So it's like,
right.
So if I get another good win, then he can go like, hey, look, like, this guy fought on Contenders. Right. Like, let's give him another shot.
Yep.
And then, he may or may not take me,
Mm-hmm.
But then on the flip side of that, it could be like tomorrow, Sean Shelby could call Mike and be like, hey, I need a guy for this.
Are they looking for fighters recently?
They're always looking for fighters, I guess.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's the thing. Like it could literally be like, Mike could literally get an email and it would be like, hey, this is a fight for Richie, yes or no. And like, it'll just be like, that could happen tomorrow. You know what I mean? You never know. So it's weird, like, because people always ask, like, oh, like, how do you get in the UFC? And it's like, dude, I don't know. Like, I really don't.
Yeah. Have people treated you differently after your UFC?
Yeah, I think especially...
Like people hit you up weird.
Yeah. Like, I think especially, like, right after it happened, I think it was, like, because, like, I was on ESPN and I was on the Contender Series, so I was kind of, like, looked at as, like, oh, you're kind of, like, this next-level guy. So, good and bad, like, people kind of, like, looked at it like, oh, like, why is he there? Like, he doesn't deserve that shot. But then other people were kind of like, oh, like, I know this guy and he's fighting on ESPN. So it's like, you take the good with the bad. It's interesting.
Do you know someone that in New England that you think is someone that's going to make it eventually?
Mitch Raboso.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah, he's the guy. That kid he's something else.
Yeah.
He's something else. And people always, like, his last fight, he won by decision. He actually beat a guy that beat me. And he looked good in that fight, but people are always quick to criticize him because he doesn't have that many finishes, and he didn't finish this guy. But, dude, here's the thing. Mitch didn't finish that guy, but that guy will never beat Mitch in a fight. You know what I mean? That's the way I look at it. It's like he dominated him so bad that,
I get it.
What else do you want? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he won that fight easily.
Yeah.
And that was a tough dude. That dude beat me. So
wow.
He caught me, though. He didn't.
Just like a lucky shot?
Well, he dropped me with a body shot. He kicked me in the stomach and dropped me and then got me in a darce.
Oh, okay.
And friggin' he put me out. I didn't tap.
Wow. Let this be known right here, right now.
So he put me out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Mitch is the guy. He'll be in there next couple of years or so.
And he's so young too.
Yeah, he's friggin' 22, 21.
Yeah.
Super young.
That's what I'm like.
Friggin' 28. I'm running out of time. Yeah.
Dude, I'm 26 and I'm only in my second amateur fight. Like, I'm like starting to think, like, what the heck do I do? Do I just keep doing it and take my time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like a lot of times Sean Shelby will say like they only want guys under 30.
Yeah.
So it kind of like makes you rush.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you see like certain guys getting into like 32, 33. So it's kind of like, I don't know. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I'm 28. So I got 2 more years till I'm 30. So, I mean, there's a lot that can happen in 2 years. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
So,
you can do a lot.
Right. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to cut there's like a minute left.
Want to wrap it up?
Yeah, wrap it up. Say something like for
some final thoughts.
Thanks everybody.
Nah, it was cool, man. Thoughts. But we already know we got to do a part 2.
I know. I didn't even really get to talk about WWE.
I know, dude.
Damn it.
That's okay. Next time we'll open.
That'll be like
that.
that'll be the way we started.
Yes, next time we'll open with that.
Yeah. Definitely. So,
all right, how do you like to end it?
Any last words?
Yeah, man. Thanks. This was fun.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I told you, me and Duma were giving you so much shit for not having us on here.
I'm going to have Duma on hopefully for December. I have no idea if he's going to be available, but
yeah, hopefully.
I'm like, I need to get these guys in here or else they're going to keep giving me crap about it.
Yeah, so no, I appreciate it.
Of course.
I was busting your balls. I don't really care. It's fine.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was fun.
This was really good, actually.
Super cool setup.
I didn't know that you talked like this.
Oh, yeah.
That you could talk.
I told you this isn't my first rodeo.
You're right.
Dude, I commentate. Like, I have to talk. So,
but in the gym, I used to think that.
I'm pretty quiet.
Yeah.
I'm quiet in the gym.
It's weird. I did not know how this thing's going to go.
Yeah.
But, man. And it's also engaging, too. Like, I don't know how you do it.
Right.
Yeah.
I know. You just kind of learn. Like, I've done so much talking, I guess, now. Like, so many interviews, so many podcasts, so many, commentating. I've done it so many times that you kind of learn how to flow and just talk.
Right.
You know, and it's definitely a skill that you learn.
Right.
But I mean, now that you're like starting your own podcast, like
I feel like I'm doing better.
Yeah, no, this was good.
And I got to know you. Now we'll like go to the gym, tap it up and be like, hey, what did we talk about?
Yeah.
Dude, I really wanted to get into like the pro wrestling stuff. I bet you know so much.
I know.
Like something hidden in there.
Dude, I was hardcore. I was hardcore.
But thank you so much.
Till next time.
Yes. I know. Till next time. Well, yeah, I guess that's it. Let's put the music on.
All right. Let's play us off.
Yeah. Thank you to Suave Mente over here. Thank you guys. Whoever made it this far out, you made it to the deep end. I don't know who's for the next episode, but it doesn't matter. We have Richie, Santiago. Thank you so much. And we will see you on the next one.
All right.
Thank you for listening to Talk and Tap.
Thanks.